Generals want to believe that they can fight a conventional war successfully. Nuclear weapons would, after all, mean the skills they've spent a lifetime developing are irrelevant. At the opening ceremonies of the NATO exercises, a little saber rattling precedes the serious business of playing at conventional war.
It's indeed an honor and a pleasure for me to welcome all of you to this inauguration of Autumn Forge 1980. Taking place from northern Norway to the other flank in Turkey, confirming our ability and our willingness to repel aggression wherever it might occur in Allied Command Europe.
Paratroops of the U.S. 82nd Airborne Division arrived direct from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to take part in these elaborate and expensive war games. They join up with soldiers from Britain, Germany, and half a dozen other NATO countries, and for a couple of weeks they pretend they're fighting a real war.
Tango 0, Tango 1, you are to take up a counter-penetration position on the west. I say again, the west of the small bag position. Over. Tango 1, Tango 2, Tango 3, move now out.
They split into attacking and defending sides. They're given objectives to gain and positions to defend, and then they fight it out.
What was that, Bravo Echo Charlie?
Bravo Echo Uniform Charlie.
Bravo Echo
Uniform.
Charlie. Uniform Alpha, I thought it was.
Yeah, well, it might be.
Take your order. Man up, can you get on?
Nobody dies, except by accident. It's war with the consequences neatly removed. The experience of Colonel Roderick Jones of the Queen's Royal Irish Hussars is fairly typical. He's been a professional soldier for 22 years, and although he's seen minor actions in distant parts of the world, he's never been in a full-scale war. Neither have any of the 550 men and 47 tanks he has under his command.
Okay, let's go.
The tanks are not the tanks of World War II, and one of the things that makes them different is their price tag. A modern tank costs $3 million. Colonel Roderick Jones's entire salary for about 100 years.
Tango 3, this is Tango 9. Is that one of your call signs over by that red barn, ever? Roger. Roger, roger.
For your $3 million, you get a machine that can keep moving on today's lethal battlefield and fire accurately on the move over a distance of about 2 miles. What this means for Roderick Jones and his men is that their battlefield will be a pretty empty place. They will fight inside machines against other men inside machines. Most of the killing will be distant and impersonal, a long way from the days of hand-to-hand combat. There was a time when human endurance dictated the length of a battle. Fighting stopped when the soldiers were too exhausted to carry on. Now, if the machinery can keep going, the men are expected to keep pace. With electronic night fighting equipment, men would remain in action almost continuously for as much as 6 days. There's even been talk of keeping them awake for 80 hours at a stretch with amphetamines. The plans are unreal, but they're matched by the surreal incidents of the maneuvers. The tank ahead has been killed by Corporal Coffey of the Orange Force, acting as stand-ins for the Warsaw Pact. There are rules to this game, and the rules say that once dead, a tank should move out of the way of its attacker and let him continue his advance. That's what Corporal Coffey has in mind. But tank number 72, manned by Americans, has other ideas. So as in all good games, when the opposing sides disagree, the umpire gets to arbitrate.
What we're going to do, let this troop straight on, okay? The Orange Force is going to continue its advance. Right now.
Right down these trails.
Right down this trail. Well, I don't mind. I'm an umpire.
Start it up.
Can you, any chance you might be able to move that? Otherwise I think you might end up tin.
At the end of the day on exercise, win or lose, you walk away to see another dawn. But that doesn't mean these men are unaware of what lies ahead for them if they ever get into a real battle. At the points where the Soviets might concentrate their tanks to break through, the scale and pace of the destruction would be almost unimaginable. And those points are pretty obvious to anyone who can read a map. According to a very senior American general, this valley is the site of the biggest tank battle in the history of the world. It's a battle that has not been fought, but this area, the Hünfeld approach to the Fulda Gap, lies on the shortest route between the East German border and the Rhine. If the Russian tanks ever do roll west, the terrain will funnel them into this valley, and this is where NATO will make its stand. In military parlance, this valley is a killing zone. If the Soviets did attack, several thousand tanks would come through this gap. The local odds would be around 10-1 in favor of the attacker. So NATO sets up what it calls killing zones to deal with the onslaught.
This is Romeo 6-4, over. This is 6-4, okay. I think you're about to get flanked. Start pulling back slowly.
Its troops hope to even up the odds by firing from protected positions at the Soviet tanks as they come through in the open. But their losses are still likely to be very heavy, and there's no certainty that NATO will be able to stop the Soviets. The soldiers know very well, even from their experience on exercises, that they probably won't last long in battle.
Charlie 2, hier Charlie, kommen.
Grid 764, 398, artillery.
We started out in this village here. This is B combat team. We started off with 11 tanks, 8 armoured personnel carriers. That was 2 sections, 2 platoons of infantry. We've got guided weapon systems down the road there, and we had the umpires knocked us out 5 tanks, and both platoon commanders.
So you lost 5 out of 11 in a single day?
In the space of 30 minutes.
Is that normal?
It would be if they come at us. Yeah, that would be about right. If you get so many tanks coming towards us, I mean, we had about 3 combat teams come at us then. That's about 30 to 40 tanks that come at us, and that would be normal. Half our force would be knocked out, but we did stop. Normally, we were expected to last in a tank battle 2 hours. And that is our expected life expectancy in war of a tank crew is 2 hours.
I would say less than that. I would say you were talking about minutes. This, of course, can change varying on the circumstance and all this, which we hope we'll never find out. But generally, they say minutes, not hours.
I think my tank commander, whoever it was, who tells you he was only going to last 2 hours, it was being unduly gloomy.
They may disagree on the exact time, but everyone agrees it would happen very fast. And sooner or later, one side will start to lose. What would happen then?